MA1 Part E. Providing Management Information. Chapter 11. Reporting Management Information. The topics that this presentation will cover are 1. Deciding who needs what. 2. Types of communication. 3. Confidentiality. 1. Management information needs to be relevant and understood by the person who receives it. To help management information to be understood, the following can be done. The management information should avoid using unexplained technical terms. It should cut out unnecessary detail. The use of charts, diagrams, and tables can helpfully illustrate the information. Before compiling the management information, ask the user's view on the required information and presentation. 2. The following are a few of the types of communication. It is important to choose the right type of communication, for the right purpose. Letters, memos, emails, formal reports. Many companies make use of a standard set of reports and documents, set out in a prescribed format. They may also have a standard house style for other documents. The aim of a house style for documents are: it makes it easier to read documents. It makes it easier to locate and produce information. And it presents a consistent image to people outside the business. These are some of the factors to consider when choosing a communication method. Time, how long is needed to prepare the message and transmit it, versus how urgent the message is. Complexity, the method of relaying complex information needs to be chosen carefully. A written document may make it easier for the recipient to digest a lot of information, but a conversation might make instant clarification easier. Distance, how far does the message need to travel, over the office floor, or to a distant country? Written record, a written record may be needed as proof, for legal purposes, or to aid memory. It can be duplicated and sent to many recipients, and stored for later retrieval and analysis. Feedback and interaction, how quickly is feedback needed, and how many responses are needed? Confidentiality, how the message is sent will depend also on the nature of the message, how sensitive the information is, whether it needs to be read by only a few important people or the whole company. Recipient, the way the communication needs to be handled and worded will depend on the person receiving it, and the desired effect on that person. Cost, the cost of the type of communication should be considered. The best possible result needs to be achieved, at the lowest possible expense. Letters are normally used when you are communicating with someone outside of the business. A letter should be polite, accurate, clear, logical, and concise. It should give appropriate reference, and the spelling and punctuation used should be flawless. If your company has a house style, the letter should also conform to it. For an example of a letter, see the example on page 196 of your interactive text study guide. Stop the lecture. Answer the question on page 197 of your interactive text study guide. Memos are used for communicating internally, within business. It is used for any kind of information that needs to be written. For example, a report, a brief message or a note. There is no need to sign at the end of a memo. For an example of a memo, see the example on page 197 of your interactive text study guide. Stop the lecture. Answer the question on page 197 of your interactive text study guide. Emails can be used the same way memos are used, or you can use them for external communication which doesn't need a signature. The following are advantages to emails. Speed, messages are delivered almost instantaneously. Economy, there is no need for stamps, and it is about 20 times cheaper than a fax. Efficiency, a message only needs to be prepared once, but can be sent to a lot of people at once. Security, access to emails can be restricted with passwords. Other documents can be attached from word processing and other computer packages. Electronic read and delivery reports can be requested for the email. The following are the dangers of email. Confidentiality, passwords need to be safeguarded. It may be used to replace more appropriate communication. Emails may go to people that don't need it, because it is so easy to send an email to many recipients. Standard reports are a regular part of the management information system. Ad hoc reports deal with once-off issues or problems. They are made when the need arises, and when making them, you need to know exactly what is required. A formal report may be needed for a comprehensive investigation. These are the elements of a formal report. The title, which contains the subject of the report. The terms of reference, which clarify what has been requested. The introduction, which contain who the report is from, and who the report is to, and also how the information in the report was obtained. The main body of the report, which is divided into sections, with subheadings to aid the reader, and it is set out in a logical order. The conclusion, which summarize the findings of the report. Recommendations, which are based on the information and evidence, it may be combined with the conclusion. The signature of the writer. An executive summary, which saves time for managers receiving long reports, so it must not be more than 1 page. For an example of a formal report, see the example on page 199 of your interactive text study guide. Stop the lecture. Answer the question on page 200 of your interactive text study guide. 3. Some information that the business will handle will be confidential, because of the Data Protection Act, or because of a legal requirement, or because of company policy. Commercially sensitive information is information about the business that may be valuable to their competitors. Privacy is the right of a person to be free of unwanted intrusion into their lives and/or activities. In the UK, information stored about individuals is regulated by the Data Protection Act. In South Africa, our data protection legislation is called the Protection of Personal Information or Data Legislation. The Data Protection Act, in the UK, aims to protect the rights of an individual in relation to information that business have about them. These are definitions in the Act. Personal data is information about a living individual, including facts and expressions of opinion about him or her. Data users are businesses or persons who control and use personal data. Data subjects are the individuals that the personal data is about. These are some of the rights of a data subject, according to the Data Protection Act. A data subject may seek compensation through the courts for damages and any distress due to loss, destruction, or unauthorized disclosure, or inaccurate information or data about the individual. A data subject may apply for the inaccurate data to be corrected, or even wiped off the data user's files. A data subject may access personal data about themselves. This is known as subject access provision. A data subject may sue for damage or distress due to incorrect or misleading personal data, which is a fact rather than opinion. Part of a business's internal requirements to keep information confidential is to have rules about confidentiality in their policy manual, such as paper files with restricted access should be listed, stored securely, and only accessible to specific people. Computer systems use passwords to restrict access to certain information. Do not provide your password or any confidential information to anyone outside your department, rather check with your supervisor. The Internet can also pose a problem for confidentiality, so a business should have a policy about using the Internet. Stop the lecture. Answer the question on page 203 of your interactive text study guide. This is the end of Chapter 11. What will follow next is the quick quiz. After the quick quiz, do the online questions for Part E, Chapter 11. It will be good practice because the online questions are set out like the exam that you do at the end of the course. They will also test your knowledge of this chapter. Quick quiz. Question 1. Which one of the following options would not help management information to be understood? A. Avoiding unexplained technical terms. B. Using charts, diagrams, and tables. C. Asking the user's view on required information and presentation. D. Lots of detail. Question 2. Which one of the following is not an aim of house style for documents? A. To make it easier to read the documents. B. To make it easier to locate information. C. To control costs. D. To present a consistent image to people outside the organization. Question 3. Information about an organization which may be valuable to competitors is known as A. Cost-sensitive information. B. Commercially sensitive information. C. Commercially secure information. D. Cost-secure information. Question 4. Data users are individuals on whom personal data is held. Is this true or false? Question 5. List 5 considerations when choosing a communication method. Question 6. Which one of the following is a possible disadvantage or danger of email? A. Economy. B. Speed. C. Delivery and read receipts. D. Large volumes of information. Question 7. What would be the most appropriate method of communication in each of the following circumstances? A. Explaining to a customer that a cash discount that has been deducted was not valid, as invoice was not paid within the discount period. B. Requesting customer balances from a colleague in the sales ledger department. C. Arranging your holiday period with the HR manager. D. A complaint to a supplier regarding the delivery times of goods, which are not as agreed. E. Information to be provided to the sales director regarding the breakdown of sales geographically for the last 2 years. After doing the quick quiz, do the online questions for Part E, Chapter 11. Do the questions, until you achieve 80%. Replay the lecture as needed.